This is a photograph of a mannequin wearing a wedding dress named La Pascualita, displayed in the La Popular bridal shop in Mexico. The frightening thing is that the mannequin not only looks exactly like a real person, but it is also suspected to be made from a human corpse. People noticed the uncanny resemblance between the mannequin and the daughter of the bridal shop owner. Even more coincidentally, this daughter died on her wedding day, shortly before the mannequin appeared. Afterward, a series of strange and mysterious incidents occurred around the mannequin, such as moving on its own, occasionally crying, laughing, and blinking. Before we start the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notifications whenever there's a new video. If you have a chance to visit the bustling city of Chihuahua, Mexico, and ask the locals about the most notable spot, their answer might be the La Popular bridal shop. What draws attention isn't the beautiful wedding dresses, but a mannequin that looks remarkably lifelike. The original owner of the store gave this mannequin the beautiful name La Pascualita. To this day, the mannequin is still displayed in the store, attracting curious visitors who come to take a closer look. From the very first days, La Pascualita appeared in the bridal shop. It immediately caught the eyes of local residents. This bride mannequin has eyes that resemble those of a real person, always staring intently at anyone passing by the bridal shop. Not only the eyes, but also the mannequin's skin has a lifelike texture, soft and realistic to the point where veins can be seen beneath the surface. Particularly, La Pascualita's hands are so detailed that staff can see fingernails and veins. After observing the mannequin for some time, local residents quickly noticed something strange. The bride mannequin's face looked exactly like the bridal shop owner, Pascuala Esparza. With smooth skin, large round eyes, and long eyelashes, many people wondered if Mrs. Esparza had ordered a custom mannequin with her face as a keepsake. When some curious people asked the shop owner about this, she only gave a vague response. "This is my new mannequin. I call her La Pascualita," the bridal shop owner said. The owner's indifference only fueled the legend of the lifelike mannequin. Mrs. Esparza opened the bridal shop on her own and learned how to run the business. This woman was a single mother to a daughter named Cara. Cara was a beautiful girl with a passion for designing wedding dresses. At the age of 22, she decided to marry a sailor. He was a handsome man, well-educated, with an unusual hobby of collecting spiders. Before the wedding day, he gave Cara a suitcase and told her not to open it. On the wedding day, after changing into her bridal gown, Cara saw the suitcase and, out of curiosity, opened it. Unfortunately, inside the suitcase was a black widow spider, an extremely venomous species. Bitten by the spider, Cara tragically passed away on her own wedding day. The sudden loss of her only daughter plunged Mrs. Esparza into unspeakable grief. However, some people believe that Cara did not die from a spider bite. The reason is that Mrs. Esparza opposed her daughter's relationship with her boyfriend. The shop owner believed that marrying a man who frequently went to sea would be disadvantageous. She wanted Cara to marry a businessman so she could have a more prosperous life. However, her daughter opposed this decision and insisted on marrying the boyfriend she had loved for many years. Facing her mother's disapproval, Cara became depressed out of sadness. She chose to end her life on her wedding day to make her mother regret her decision. No one knows the truth about why the bridal shop owner's daughter died, but one detail is certain. She passed away on her wedding day. Strangely, Mrs. Esparza did not hold a funeral for her daughter. No one knows whether the shop owner buried or cremated her daughter's body after she passed away. Oddly, just a few months after her daughter's death, Mrs. Esparza displayed the mannequin La Pascualita in her bridal shop. Coincidentally, the name La Pascualita, given by the shop owner, means little daughter in Spanish. Locals believe that overwhelmed by grief, Mrs. Esparza decided to embalm Cara's body and turn her into a mannequin. While the rumor about the mannequin being the mummified body of the shop owner's daughter remains unconfirmed, strange events began to unfold. One employee reported that at night, when the store was closed and no one else was around except for the cleaner preparing to leave, something eerie occurred. The employee heard a strange rustling sound. When she went to check, the female staff member was horrified to find that the La Pascualita mannequin had changed position. Terrified, the employee assumed someone was playing a prank and called out the names of her coworkers, but no one responded. Immediately afterward, she hurriedly closed the store and returned to work the following morning. However, when she arrived at work the next day, the female employee discovered that La Pascualita had returned to her original position. Too frightened, the employee resigned and started working at another bridal shop. Strange incidents continued to happen to other employees at La Popular. Some claimed they had seen the La Pascualita mannequin suddenly move in an instant. They also noticed that the mannequin frequently changed its position, just like what the first staff member had witnessed before quitting. Some people even felt that La Pascualita was not an ordinary mannequin because it always seemed to stare at them intensely. However, the store employees, especially those tasked with changing the mannequin's clothes, were far from comfortable with it. Sonia Burciaga, a store employee, believed the mannequin was a real person because touching La Pascualita's hand felt like holding a human hand. The young woman also shared other chilling stories. On one occasion, when Sonia and her colleague Maria were assigned to change La Pascualita's clothes, something strange happened. While Maria went to the restroom, leaving Sonia alone in the room, she sat with her back turned to the mannequin and felt as though someone was watching her. When Sonia turned around, she saw La Pascualita blinking. So, is this mannequin really the mummified body of the shop owner's daughter? Many scientists flocked to Chihuahua to uncover the truth behind this story. Both locals and experts were divided into two opposing views. One side believed the mannequin was indeed the embalmed body of the shop owner's daughter, while the other side dismissed it as nonsense. Yolanda Robles, a scientist from the United States, shared her experience after studying the La Pascualita mannequin. After examining the mannequin's fingernails and touching its hand, Yolanda felt a smoothness similar to human skin. I also closely examined the skin on the fingers, where the fingerprints looked just like those of a real person, she said. These observations further fueled suspicions that La Pascualita was not an ordinary mannequin, but possibly a mummy preserved in a remarkable way. Many others presented similar evidence, stating that La Pascualita's hands were far too lifelike to belong to a typical mannequin. One scientist recalled the story of Rosalia Lombardo, a young girl whose father had her body embalmed for preservation. The girl was preserved so well that her skin, hair, and eyes remained virtually unchanged even after hundreds of years. Scientists have now discovered this embalming formula, which is capable of preserving a human body for many years, potentially explaining La Pascualita's lifelike appearance. Another theory suggests that La Pascualita's hair might be a wig, and her eyes may have been replaced, but the one thing that couldn't be altered was her hands. La Pascualita's hands had a distinct dark purple hue, resembling that of a deceased person, with peeling and dry epidermal skin, while the fingernails appeared strikingly realistic. One expert claimed they had never seen a mannequin with hands that looked so authentic. However, researchers from the Museum of Hoaxes and funeral experts alike dismissed the theory that La Pascualita was the mummified body of the shop owner's daughter as completely unreasonable. Researchers from the Museum of Hoaxes issued a statement regarding La Pascualita. They concluded that it was impossible for a mummy to remain so perfectly preserved in the environmental conditions of a bridal shop. The group explained that a real human body would decompose quickly unless preserved with modern embalming methods, which are extremely costly and difficult to maintain. Thomas Prower, a renowned funeral expert, shared his perspective on preserving a body in a bridal store for nearly a century. He asserted that maintaining a mummy in such conditions would require constant care and special environmental conditions to prevent decomposition. With his extensive experience, he stated that while modern embalming techniques can maintain a body in a standing position, it is impossible for a mummy to stay in perfect condition indefinitely. Moreover, the store's front window, exposed to the harsh sunlight, would certainly not provide ideal conditions for preserving a mummy. Displaying a mummy in a store window, exposed to the desert heat and human interaction over many years, would significantly diminish its freshness. One undeniable fact is that after 95 years, a mummy could never remain in flawless condition. Meanwhile, La Pascualita has remained completely intact for nearly a century, which is highly illogical. Considering all these points, Prower confidently concluded that La Pascualita was definitely not the mummified body of the shop owner's daughter. As a funeral expert, I can assure you that this mannequin is absolutely not a mummy, he declared. Another expert noted that while some mummies around the world have remained preserved for years, thanks to meticulous care, such conditions are rare and highly controlled. However, maintaining such a well-preserved condition for a long period is extremely difficult and requires highly specialized skills. If La Pascualita were a mummy, 95 years would be far too long for it to remain in such good condition. Climate factors must also be considered when discussing the long-term preservation of a mummy. La Pascualita is displayed in Chihuahua, Mexico, an area within the Chihuahuan Desert ecoregion, known for its semi-arid climate. Humidity is a crucial factor that affects mummy preservation, and this semi-arid environment could help preserve a mummy longer, similar to the famous Egyptian mummies. However, Prower argued that preserving a corpse in this environment is still challenging, even if it may be more favorable than humid climates. Ultimately, Prower highlighted an important detail about La Pascualita's facial features. For a mummy, the lips and eyelids would dry out significantly, shriveling and wrinkling like dried beef jerky. If La Pascualita were indeed a real mummy, her facial features would appear visibly dry and wrinkled. However, La Pascualita's face looks remarkably smooth and fresh, which is unlikely for a long-preserved mummy. Based on these observations, Prower concluded that the possibility of La Pascualita being a mummy is very low. According to him, La Pascualita is likely just an exceptionally detailed mannequin, not the embalmed body of the shop owner's daughter, as rumored. Another local legend suggests that La Pascualita is merely a mannequin. One chilling story tells of a French magician. The tale claims that this magician visited the bridal shop late one night, intending to use his magic to bring La Pascualita to life for a few hours. During the night, the two danced, drank wine, and celebrated their brief time together. At dawn, La Pascualita returned to her position in the glass window, becoming a mannequin once again, waiting for the magician to return the following night. Prower believed that human curiosity, combined with a lack of factual information, created fertile ground for imagination and creativity to thrive. Unclear, mysterious stories are often more captivating and generate greater curiosity than straightforward explanations. This very factor has kept the legend of the ghost bride La Pascualita alive in the community. Another reason the legend of La Pascualita persists is that it serves as a fantastic marketing tool for the popular bridal shop. Despite changing owners multiple times, the store has kept the La Pascualita mannequin on display as a promotional strategy. Teresa Cordova, a former University of New Mexico student, shared that she once visited the bridal shop to request an interview for her thesis in 2012. However, when she returned a few days later as scheduled, she realized she had been stood up. A store employee explained that no interview had been arranged because the shop owner believed doing so would bring bad luck. Cordova realized that the story of La Pascualita was not just folklore, but also a clever marketing strategy that kept the shop in the spotlight. Determined to uncover the truth about La Pascualita, Cordova searched archives at the local church. However, after a long search, She could not find any records about the life or death of the shop owner's daughter. This further reinforced the suspicion that the story of La Pascualita was merely a baseless legend. The shop's refusal to give interviews about La Pascualita may simply be a smart marketing tactic, helping to maintain the allure and mystery surrounding the ghost bride. It seems that the current store owner is aware that whether La Pascualita is a real mummy or not, it still holds significant value in attracting customers. When asked about the truth behind the famous mannequin in the shop, the current owner simply winked and vaguely replied, "Is it true? I really can't say." What do you think? Is the story of the bridal shop using the embalmed body of the owner's daughter as a mannequin true or not? Please share your thoughts, feelings, and opinions about this story in the comments section below the video. That's the end of this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Doing so will help us continue to bring you more meaningful content. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos.